Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds.
Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous two-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month.
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Right, let's get this little show on the road, shall we? Wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Welcome to the Notts County vs Bradford City pre-match chat. And I am joined today by Stan, Callie and Miss Diane. How is everybody today?
Evening, everybody. All good, thank you. How are you?
I'm sound.
Evening, everyone.
How are you, Diane?
I'm fine. Tired.
You haven't any more lampposts, have you?
No, I haven't. I'm going to say, how's the lamppost?
I'll ask you on Tuesday night when I go past it. Boundary mad. They all start laughing at work.
So, Notts County vs Bradford City tomorrow, 12:30 p.m. live on Sky Sports, 18th of November 2023. Live at Meadow Lane with Mr. Tom Reeves as referee. And looking at Mr. Reeves' stats on a website, he has 7 appearances in League One, 4 appearances in League Two, and 2 appearances in the League Cup. He's given out 26 yellow cards in League One, 14 yellow cards in League Two, 5 cards in the League Cup, and he's only giving 1 red card in the League One. So, what's the score going to be tomorrow, do you reckon? Start off with. Callie?
Are you starting off with me?
Let's start off with you.
Start off with me. Well, we know what Stan's answer is going to be, don't we?
Yeah, sitting on the fence.
Do you know what? I can't call this one at all tomorrow. Notts not doing too good, are they, right now? Whereas we're doing absolutely dire right now. So I think we do a win. I'm going to go a win, and I'm going to think it's going to be tight, and it's going to be a good game, like a 3-2 game, I think. 3-2 to us.
Stan, probably know your answer, but...
I'm not going to give a prediction, however, we don't score many, do we? So I can't see us scoring 3 tomorrow, but... So, yeah, I think with that extra week of Alexander in with the team, you know, he's got given that extra time to impart his way of playing. But yeah, sitting on the fence.
Diane?
I'm going to say 2-1 again, like I did last week. But I got it the wrong way around last week.
So currently looking at the league table, Notts County are 5th, and right down at the bottom, we're 18th. Not looking good, guys and girls.
We've just got a Notts County fan just joined, Pies Are Us. Are you going to give us is he going to join in and give us what you think the score's going to be tomorrow?
I've sent him sent he or she are speaking, so if they want to speak, they can do.
It's nice to hear what they're thinking at the moment.
Yeah, because we're getting people, or trying to get people on as well from different fans and stuff, different fans of clubs. See how that gets on. So let's look at what they have said in the local newspaper. See what's been said.
We've got Pattinson's back to training, isn't he? But he's not match fit yet. I've seen that somewhere.
Yeah, Oliver's back training as well.
Yeah. Who's the one that's back? What have I seen this week? I can't remember who I've seen that's back. Oh, we're missing somebody.
Well, we're missing Liam.
Rydal, that's it. Yeah,
and
we're
missing
him.
Liam as well. And we're missing Daniel as well.
I'm not used to doing that.
So, good afternoon, Paisaros. How are you?
Yeah, good evening. It's Scott. That's my real name, so you can call me that. But
Say Scott, sorry.
It's Scott is my name, so that's just a little handle I put on for Twitter. So, just to keep it.
Hi, Scott.
Hi.
So tomorrow,
What's the thoughts from your place?
Tomorrow,
what's the view
tomorrow for us, it's a bit of a pressure game because we've lost the last 2 league games without scoring a goal. So in the last sort of 3 or 4 years, we're not kind of used to that. So we are, I think there's a little bit of pressure on.
Oh, you still there, Scott? Or are you on dial-up internet like Callie again?
We are a bit of a curse when it comes to TV games. So, and we have got some injuries. So, we should be confident. I think our players generally, should it be enough to cause you a threat? But I think there is a feeling of trepidation amongst some of us, that's for sure, anyway.
And just a quick question for you as well, Scott. Were you at the game the other day when there was an issue with the people?
No. When there was what? Sorry.
Issue with the linesman?
No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't at that game, I'm afraid. But yeah, I've heard lots of stories. I mean, it was a difficult afternoon from all the people I've spoken to. It was a sellout as far as the away end was concerned. What I understand is a very poor stand. There was there wasn't really enough room for everybody, and there was quite a lot of tension amongst the Notts fans themselves because of the usual, I want to sit down, I want to stand up. And then because Notts play a high line, there was a lot of balls over the top, which the linesman didn't call offside, which caused a lot of fans to get upset throughout the game. There was a lot of other decisions the referee didn't give, where we thought that players on the Crew side should have been booked and they weren't, where ours were. So it was the usual kind of, we've had it up against us and the referee's not giving it our way. And then, of course, in the last couple of minutes into injury time, we break 2-on-2. And it looks like a promising attack. And then the referee pulls his hamstring and then has to stop the game. So, it's one of those things that we have to take. But obviously, there was just a complete accumulation of frustrations in a very packed and very uncomfortable away end. And I think that just ultimately, with 1 or 2 idiots, resulted in them overreacting and chucking something at the linesman. When he gave the penalty, so which it probably was a penalty. It was hard to see in real time. It looked like a penalty, but so yeah, that's my understanding of what happened. We're not generally a load of idiots. To be fair, we do have our fair share, like most clubs do, but we're not really renowned for having, a bunch of hooligans or idiots on our side. Quite the opposite, really. We're probably being a bit too. We're a bit too, subdued and quiet. Frankly, as a general rule.
Sorry, is it Scott? Did you say his name was?
Does that answer the question?
He did, yes.
Yeah. I have a question for you, Scott. Just regarding your.
So yeah, the atmosphere tomorrow. I mean, hopefully, it should be pretty positive. I mean, we're getting better attendances now, and there's generally still a pretty good vibe across the place. With what's happened in the last 2 or 3 years. So I mean, we've lost the last couple in terms of where we've had against Wrexham and Mansfield, and we were well beaten by Mansfield. much to our annoyance. And the Wrexham game could have gone either way. It was pretty even, to be honest. They just got a lucky goal, and they took it from there, really. So I think if we take our chances and we can create our chances, then we should be feeling confident. But our usual weakness is at the back, and you can see that from the amount of goals we've conceded, really. So,
Scott, I have a question for you. Can you hear us?
How are you guys feeling about tomorrow?
Can you hear us, Scott?
Scott, can you hear Stan?
No, I can't. No.
Right. If somebody translates that over to, I have a question.
I can hear you.
Were there signs before the 2 games that you've lost that potentially form was dipping? Can you ask that for him, Johnny? Sorry, you obviously can't hear us, but...
So, were there any signs of... What did you say, sorry? Any signs of what, Stan?
Of any kind of form dipping before the 2 games that they'd lost.
So, any signs of your form dipping in the last couple of games?
Yeah, I mean, well, possibly. I mean, we beat Crawley in the cup, and again, that was a very even game. You know, there was lots of chances on both sides, a bit like the Wrexham. So we can be quite open. So normally we start really strong. We start like a train usually, and if we scored a couple of goals in the first half hour, then that can usually mean it's game over. So, but if we don't score, then sometimes our confidence can dip a little bit. And certainly as we get into the second half of games, we can sort of tire and we can lose our confidence and lose our way. So, it's I think it all hinges on whether I think if we don't score in the first half an hour, 40 minutes, then I think it's I think it becomes I think you're in with a very good chance personally.
So looking at your last 4 games, you've played Crewe.
Yes.
Crewe away lost. Lincoln lost. Crawley won. Wrexham won 2-0, and then you've won 3-2 Crawley. Your current top goal scorer is Langstaff.
Yeah.
Where does he score most of his goals from, would you say?
Well, in the box. He's an absolute natural number 9. He is absolutely... You give him the ball in the box and he'll hit the target. He's sensational, frankly. How he's not got he's very much in the kind of Jamie Vardy mould, and his career has followed a very similar pattern in terms of he's not gone through academy, he's got into a Premier League club or anything like that. He's worked his way around the non-leagues, and he's never found a place that's played to his strengths, and we do. We've played well. Gateshead played to his strengths. He scored 30 odd goals season before last. But you feed him, he'll score. It's as simple as that. And he can score with left. He can score with his right. He can score with his head. He can do 1-on-1s. He can do he can turn on a sixpence. He is a fantastic number 9. He's our best number 9 we've probably had since Lee Hughes back in sort of 29, 10, 11, really, to be honest. So he's a brilliant number 9. There's no doubt about it. But he does need service. He plays in that channel across the 18-yard box. So if he doesn't get service, he's very ineffective. So the key to keeping him quiet is to keep his service quiet, frankly.
So looking on the Telegraph and Argos, one of who's done this? Is it Nathan? What's his name? Nathan Atkinson. He's done like a bit of team news and stuff. So it says County have a chronic selection problem in midfield due to a raft of injuries, not helped by Jordan Jones being away for the weekend on international. That's
Jody Jones, not Geordie Jones. And I've just seen he's not playing tonight. He's on the bench, so he's playing. He's in the Malta squad. So if you're going to watch the England game tonight, he might come on. But again, he's another reason why I'm a little bit nervous for tomorrow, because he's obviously missing, and he's one of our most creative players. So again, he's the one that will feed Langstaff. He's naturally a left winger, but we've converted him to a left wing back. Although he can play on the right as well, but he tends to play on the left. So he was at Coventry, got horrendous injuries, He was out for 3 years, and then we brought him back in January on loan from Oxford, as it was. And then he was sensational for us in the back end of the season, and then we signed him on a permanent deal in the summer, and he's been pretty sensational this season as well. If we don't defend him properly, I mean, he's most teams that have done well, like Wrexham, they double teamed him, but you don't need to worry about him because he's not playing tomorrow.
So then it's a possible return from injury for former Crystal Palace and Spurs midfielder John Bostock.
Yeah, so we're missing a lot of our pivot. So we play a kind of 3-4-2-1, and the middle two have been a guy called Matt Palmer and John Bostock. Matt Palmer is now out for the season. He's brilliant. He's very much in the kind of Paul Scholes mould, if you like. And then Bostock, again, he's got a fantastic pedigree. He's played Premier League, he's played Championship, he's played in Europe. And again, a bit like Jones, he came back from injury last year, came to us in January time. And again, he's been brilliant for us. But again, he's been out injured. So, I mean, he's been back in training. So we have signed a guy called Dan Gosling, who, again, has got fantastic pedigree. But again, he's had an injury. So we don't know whether he's going to start tomorrow. So we have got a lot of bodies out in the middle of the park. So, as again, another reason why I'm a little bit nervous, because they're our key players, really. They're the ones that make us tick with our possession-based game. You look at our stats, we typically have 60 to 70% possession, and a lot of it is across the middle third. And these are the guys that make us tick, really, and they're missing. So we do have a crisis. There's no doubt about it.
And then one player, it says one to watch, Crowley?
Crowley.
Crowley.
So Dan Crowley, yeah. So Dan Crowley is a kind of, how would you describe him? He's small, but he's got a very low centre of gravity. He can turn very quickly, and he's very, very mobile. So we kind of play two number 8s with him and McGoldrick, sort of in left and right, sort of inside left, inside right positions. But they're very mobile, and again, they make us tick. And he's been great for us. The new signing in the summer, joined from Morecambe, he's an Arsenal academy player. I mean, he can pass, he can move, he can finish. So he's been fantastic for us. But I do think he does tend to fade as the game goes on. So he's been subbed quite a lot, sort of around 70 minutes in a lot of games. So again, it all goes back to what I said at the start, that we tend to start like a train, and he is part of that. But then we have been guilty of fading as the game goes on.
And then we've got a bit of Bradford City team news. Platt could replace Taylor in the back four, while Alexander could hand Richardson a rare start as left back, because I don't know if you've seen at Bradford City, but we had a substitute. Rydal went off injured, and then the substitute who replaced him got injured.
Right.
So we're a bit dodgy at left back at minute.
Left back, right. Okay. Well, we have a player called Aaron Naman, who's our right wing back, and he's very good as well on his day, although his crossing can be a bit profligate at times. But so yes, that might be a concern for you. Crowley tends to play on the right with Naman in a kind of partnership, and they'll try and get Naman to the byline to get the ball in, really, for Langstaff. That's kind of the MO. So if you haven't got a decent left back, then that might be something for us to exploit.
So see if we're going to get battered then tomorrow.
No. I think we're players. We're body short. We're body short, and as I said, we haven't lost 2 in a row for a long time. I think we'll go back sort of 2 years. The last time we lost 2 in a row. So and certainly not scoring for 2 in a row if you exclude the cup game. So yeah, I think I'm wondering whether there's going to be a little bit of pressure. But I mean, at the end of the day, we do have players like Crowley. We have got McGoldrick. We have got Bostock if he's back, Gosling if he starts. There's now a lot of experience in our squad, so you would hope that they'd be big enough and man enough to get over that.
I'll just ask you a question, Scott. Is Adam Chickson still playing?
Well, he was a regular last season, he was an absolute, nailed on for the left wing back. But obviously, he's lost his place to Jones, and he's been injured as well. But I mean, he started the Wembley playoff final, so he's not really featured at all this season. But he may well be again. Who does he play at left wing back with Jones being out, and Chickson could well come in, but he's not been in the team. So again, it's another one where we've got players that are coming in that might not be totally match fit, you see. Yeah. So a lot of question marks over our team tomorrow.
I went down to a game last season. I think it was Scunthorpe towards the back end of the season. I think it was comfortable 4-0.
Oh, they were terrible.
Yeah. But it was interesting to know, obviously, from a Bradford perspective, there were two ex-City players on the pitch. Chickson was one.
Oh, right. Okay. I didn't realise he was ex.
Yeah. And then the centre-half for Scunthorpe, Ben Richards-Everton. He wasn't particularly highly rated, Richards-Everton. In fact, Chickson got a lot of grief during his time. But obviously, both had different fortunes that afternoon. I think Scunthorpe defence were run ragged, really, and obviously a comfortable win, wasn't it, for your lads that afternoon?
Oh yeah, I mean they didn't turn up really. They didn't even seem that bothered. But I mean, obviously Scunthorpe got lots of issues off the pitch, haven't they, at the time? So I mean Chickson's very popular, and again he's got this knack of ghosting in at the far post and scoring. I think he scored nearly a dozen goals last season, and he was a very integral part of our team. So we'll see. I don't know. He hasn't played. But no one would complain if he started tomorrow.
Who do you think, from your perspective, is like Bradford City's threat?
I don't know. I was going to ask you actually, because I don't know much about it, to be honest. We've been 4 years out of the league, so I don't know much about League Two clubs, to be honest. So I was hoping you might be able to tell me, but
I think it'll be Bobby Poynton if he plays him.
I was just thinking that, Callie, as well.
Well, I do, because he just gets himself in space, doesn't he, all the time?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you have a big sense? Is that Andy Cook a big lad? Do you have a big centre forward?
Yeah.
He hasn't scored in a while, though, Cookie. He's not scored. He's on a dry spell.
So we are chronically poor in the air. There's another one of our weaknesses. So we are, we've got some big lads, but they don't seem to be able to jump bullies and don't seem to be able to head the ball. So we have conceded quite a lot of goals, or we've conceded a lot of goals because we didn't win the header, the first header, and it's bobbled around or whatever. So if you've got a big centre forward who you can get crosses into, then that might well be your best chance. And again, it's always a bit of a concern. I mean, Troy Deeney got a hat-trick against us for Forest Green. And who was the other lad that played for Sutton? Harry Smith. He got goals. He scored headers against us.
The trouble is with Cookie, though, the defenders just jump all over him all game, don't they? Yeah. They pull him down. They pull his shirt off his back.
Yeah, we don't do that.
Oh, well, that might be a plus on our side.
Good.
Our defenders are players. The ethos with Notts is to have players that can play it out, can pass, can knock a 40-yard crossfield pass, and if they can defend, it's a bit of a bonus. So we're not the best. So we're not certainly the most physical team in the world. So that point, I don't think you need to worry about, and that's always a concern for me because. Mansfield, when they came to the lane, they just scored two goals from corners. Two goals from corners, and that was it. And the game was over, and that because we couldn't defend them.
Andy Cook hat-trick then tomorrow. Then I can see it.
Well, yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, it is going to be. I mean, we very rarely keep a clean sheet. But we do score a lot of goals, so it's usually whether we take our chances or not is the thing. So if Langstaff's on fire, McGoldrick, Crowley, those three, if they work together and they put the ball in the back of the net, then generally we'll win. But we haven't done that the last 2 games, which is why I'm a little bit, nervous, to be honest. But there you go. Probability dictates that we should find the net. I mean, we scored 3 against Crawley in the cup, but they got 2. You see, and they had chances as well. That could have gone either way. And even we played Swindon recently, and we absolutely hammered them in the first half. Played sensational. We're 3-0 at half time. But then second half, it was one-way traffic for them, and they could have easily got a draw. We hung on for 3-1 in the end. So it is a kind of
could well be a high octane shootout of heavy scorers.
Yeah,
anything you want to say, Tony?
In a darts match.
But personally, I can't see us winning tomorrow. I really can't.
Do you think we're going to get battered, Stone?
I wouldn't say we'd get battered, but I just can't see us winning because
very competition.
Defensively we're a shambles.
The only man ever to beat James Wade.
And at the moment, Lewis needs to sort his head out, but unfortunately we don't have a backup keeper because Lewis is a mess at the moment. I hate to say it, but he's cost us a lot of goals this season, and until he gets his back into frame of mind,
He's not in good form, is he, at the minute at all, Lewis?
No, he's not. He's not. He's elsewhere. His mind's elsewhere.
How are you guys feeling about Alexander?
He's 1 game in. Yeah, 1 game in. We lost. I think we're a bit unlucky against Barrow. We've got a defensive crisis at the minute. Andy Cook can't score for shit. So like you're saying there, with defence issues you've got there, both has got defence issues. There's even going to be goals. Or like you're saying, your defence is a bit rocky at the minute. I think we'll probably win tomorrow.
Oh, right.
I think we're gonna change my prediction now after you said what you've said.
Yeah, but I'm not kind of 40 years. I'm used to seeing us lose, mate. Do you know what I mean? So,
I think we're gonna win 2-0. I think Cookie's gonna score both.
Right. I think we'll score tomorrow.
Yeah.
We usually score at Meadow Lane. It's very unusual for us to not score, but.
And what's your manager like? What tactics does he normally play in formation and stuff?
Well, the ethos of the club more than the manager. So Luke Williams is the head coach. He's not the manager. So it's a very unusual situation that we've got ourselves with the new Danish owners. I say new, they've been here 4 years. Danish owners who are owners of a company called Football Radar, who are kind of a stats-based company that sell that data to other football clubs. So they have concluded that the best way to win football matches is to basically keep the ball. And it's very much based on the kind of Man City ethos, which is all very well if you've got players that Man City have got, but when you drop down to League Two, you don't have those. So we're very much possession based. It's a 3-4-2-1. And it's he'll bring the keeper out. The keeper will often be as high as 30 yards from his goal. And it'll be a 11th man outfield. So it's very much about keeping the ball from Luke Williams, but it's more of a club philosophy. So if Luke Williams were ever to leave, we would bring another manager, and that would still be the philosophy.
How long have you been supporting Notts County for?
40 odd years.
Because I know I'm going a bit off topic here, but I saw a YouTube video, and I can't remember what the title was, but it was about like you had a fake owner and Sten-Goran Eriksson and stuff.
Oh yeah, we've had all that. Yeah, we've had all that. How long have you got? I mean, you don't listen to England, John, but we've had it all. You name it, we've had it. Administrations, financial crises, fake shakes, we've had all that. Well, the thing is about Bradford actually is a very good. We have a fond memory of Bradford because that was the season 2009-10 when we played you on the opening day of the season. Don't know if anybody can remember this in 2009, where we won 5-0 with a Lee Hughes hat trick. And
yes, I remember it very well.
Yeah, so that was the start of that. When we all thought, oh my God, we're going to the Premier League. We've got Kasper Schmeichel, we've got Lee Hughes, we've got Sven-Göran Eriksson. We then signed Sol Campbell a couple of weeks later, and it was just all mad. That season was completely mad, and then it was all unravelled. It was a big con. It was an absolute fraud. And there's a BBC thing on there, I'll see if you find it. It's all about trying to defraud money out of North Korea, bizarrely. And it was all a front to try and convince these people in North Korea that they were a genuine business. It's absolutely mind-boggling. But yeah, so we all remember that game fondly, because that was the sort of, the dawn of a new era, as it seemed. But it turned out to be a complete and utter, a complete and utter fraud in the end. So, we've had it all. You name it, we've had it.
Do you remember a player? I'm not saying a player, a very good player, but I'm pretty sure played for you one season. Did Jack Grealish?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we all love Jack. We absolutely adore. Everybody at Notts adores Jack.
Yeah.
We all say that's where he learned his trade.
Yeah, you beat us 3-1 that day, and he absolutely run us ragged.
Yeah,
on his own.
yeah. Oh, I mean, it was absolutely. He was only 17 or something at the time.
Yeah.
And I can't remember, was that 13, 14, was it? I think season.
We got beat. You beat us 3-1.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, he played at Midlet Park, and
he was
outstanding then, and he was only a kid.
He was. Nobody could get the ball off him, and I remember games where players were kind of booting him and kicking him, and he was just carrying on like he does now. He doesn't go down. He's not one of these players that will roll around and and pretend he's been shot. He's absolute joy. He's a tremendous, tremendous man. Really, I'm really pleased the way it's worked out for him, because he's a great guy. He's not bloody playing tonight. He's bloody on the bench, but that's bloody Southgate for you, isn't it?
Not him.
Yeah, no, me either. That would stop me up. We all love Jack. Well, like I say, we all say he learnt his trade at Meadow Lane. He
was a good player.
He was, yeah.
So looking back at the results, 11th of August 2012, Bradford City won 1-0 against Notts County. 26th of November 2013, we drew 1-1. 1st of January 2014, 3-0 Notts County. That were at home, Meadow Lane. 28th of December 2014, Bradford City won 1-0.
Oh, that game? Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, it was terrible.
14th of March 2015, Notts County won, Bradford City won.
Yeah, we went down that season.
The 3-0 when I were there.
There were some quality players in that team.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm interested in you guys, because there seems to be a lot of... we just don't understand how a club like Bradford can be languishing so lowly in the league. It just seems remarkable. I mean, League Two is quite competitive this season, but how can a club with Bradford's resources seem to be so off the pace?
Because the owner's been a tight bugger and not putting money in. That sums it up, mate. It's like like you're saying, you're Danish. Is it Danish? Sorry, Danish owners.
Yeah, they have put money in. There's no doubt about it. Yeah,
putting money in, pumping money in, and little old Bradford. If we got a trophy for attendances every week, we'd be top at league. But
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Due to I know this is a completely different podcast again, but with Roop, people are pissed off with him, pissed off with Ryan Spark.
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
It's because he's not putting money in. We always seem to go for free agents. Once upon a time, I think we started a couple of... tell me if I'm wrong, Stan, Callie or Tone. But we've had trialists at the club as well. And in a very long time, I think last season or so, under Derek Adams, a couple of seasons ago under Derek Adams, we actually didn't bring any trialists in, but we seem to bring trialists in, and club were just turning round. It's like deja vu. It won't surprise you if Graham Alexander's gone in 6 months. Right. Club's in turmoil.
I'll tell you why the club's in turmoil.
You guys keep turning up week in, week out, which is amazing. It's really, seriously, really full credit to you guys for turning up week in, week out under those circumstances.
Johnny, just to reiterate regards to invest in the club.
Yeah, we'll have to see, won't we?
are at capacity in terms of the.
Do you think you'll get in the playoffs? Do you think you've got a good enough squad to get in the playoffs? Or no?
Wait, sorry, so what are you saying, Stan?
Yeah, I was saying that Rupp can't actually put any money in because we're at the top end of our FFP in terms of like turnover. So if Rupp was to put his own money in, he would be breaking FFP rules. That was Liam clarified that the other week. So Rupp not putting money into the club is because, and that's why Ryan Sparks said in terms of the self-sufficiency of the club, because unless we get like Wrexham can do that because they've got a £20 million commercial deal, effectively, Hollywood basically bankrolling the club, and so Ryan Reynolds can put, I think, like an amount commensurate with that investment, but we can't put anything else. Oh, sorry, Rupp can't invest because we're at the top of our what we have as turnover and FFP.
That's very interesting. Cheers for that, Stan. But with like you're saying there with money and stuff. So when they're doing, I don't know, getting this deal for that crisp manufacturer, I can't think of it top of my head at the minute. Seabrooks.
Seabrooks, yeah.
They're never saying how much it's worth, though, are they? Just saying Seabrooks are sponsoring the main stand or whatever it is, but it's like Morrison's and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that sort of thing would be obviously probably confidential, or at least kind of kept, it would be, like, say, they might say, for example, like a 7-figure sum. I mean, I wish it was, but in that respect, and that's why over the last year or so, David Longo has been really working his tail off with regards to bringing in all the commercial deals, all of the what they call partnerships, but effectively sponsorship. And so, Liam confirmed that the other week with where we're at. So this kind of thing with Rupp, regardless of what people think of him and Sparks, etc., but if people actually know that fact, then it may kind of influence the opinion of Rupp. I mean, I don't care either way what people say, whether they like him or not, but at least if those facts are kind of up front, then that is why really he won't or he can't put money of his own into the club.
Have you got any thoughts on it, Cal?
Did I read something today that Rupp's not even spoken to Graham Alexander? God.
Alexander. Yeah.
Graham Alexander.
Yeah, you
been not lying, Cal.
No, I am. I'm saving myself for tomorrow, actually.
I think Alexander said basically, be more likely a case of once he's played 2 or 3 games, because what's he going to sort of say to him? Effectively, just he has Ryan Sparks in place as the person that's running the club on a day-to-day basis. So I don't think. I think. I mean, I don't care either way, but I think people are probably making more of it than not, because obviously people aren't happy with the way things are run. But Graham Alexander said in the press the other day that we're probably likely to speak to him in 2 or 3 games' time.
Do you not think, what's anybody else's opinions on that? Because from a professional point of view, I would say that's not right. Surely you should be welcome to the club and say, here we are, we've got this massive good club, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, I don't agree with that.
It's shocking, to be honest. It's like, obviously, if you start a new job, you normally meet the manager, the assistant manager.
I mean. Yeah.
But then you don't rock up and you're like, where's my manager?
The rumour was that the press conference run over. That's what the rumour was. That's why he's not seen him.
That's just bad management, that, isn't it, really?
It is, isn't it? Yeah, definitely. But that was the rumour.
I just don't think it helps the vibes at the club, things like that. All these little things, I think, add up to such a big thing. And I think that's why it's part of it, isn't it? It's part of why we've got bad vibes there at the minute.
So Ryan Sparks has actually been in charge now for 3 years. It's his 3-year anniversary today.
Wow.
3 years too long.
Yes, Tony.
So we've had a chat about Roop. What's your chat? What's everyone's opinion on Sparks starting off with Stan, and then we'll just go along the line?
Well, I just think he's personally, without knowing too much, but from what I gather, he just comes out of his depth, really. And the fact that we don't have a structure that basically, because I don't think we actually have a board, do we? We have like a few. I don't know, but I don't think we actually have a board. So there's no kind of, every level of a company needs some kind of accountability, or at least some kind of keeping things on track. And I don't think.
Can I just ask, Dan? Do we have like ambassadors at the club? Are we
associates?
Yes, associates. That's it.
Associate members.
Right.
Simon Hartley was one of them.
I don't think we actually have a board. I don't think we actually have a board. I mean,
no, we don't.
So I mean, I to be honest, my opinion is, or my guess is that it probably would help in terms of. I don't mean like putting his feet to the fire, but in terms of like kind of keeping on track. Where are we? Sort of like the as boards have meetings within companies. So. Yeah,
I think he needs help. I think he needs a bit of help. I think he needs a bit of a support thing around him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think he's like out on his own a bit too much.
But from what somebody said, and I'm only going off of what people have said, and this is on Twitter Spaces, is that, or wherever it was, is that in their opinion that he probably prefers it that way. So I can't comment other than. I think, I personally think he's out of his depth, and I think that he doesn't help himself because he's, like I've said, for me, if he's got a plan or an apparent plan, he's don't basically go back on it and change like a pendulum every however, and I don't think he's got the gravitas enough to basically stick with a manager, with a plan, to see it out, because what's the point of getting these managers in and then just sacking them and then we're starting again? I mean, whoever's manager of Bradford City, I want them to succeed, whether I like them or not. So I hope for the club's sake that Graham Alexander is a success. I was underwhelmed by it, but so let's hope that, Ryan Sparks just sticks with him for a while, That's my opinion on. Go ahead, sorry, Johnny.
So at the game on Saturday, Stan, they were a bit like a small, and I really mean I think about 10 of them where I was, saying sack the board. So if we say lose tomorrow, do you think...
Sack though, Johnny, don't you?
Sorry, say that again, mate.
I said you actually need a board to sack.
Yeah. But on that, right, do you know the fans are starting to turn out, they'll just a little bit. Do you reckon if we lose tomorrow, do you reckon that'll be it, full blown? Because if there's 2,000 of us or so at the game tomorrow, I think if we lose that game tomorrow, the fans are going to turn on whoever's in charge, Roop, the board, because it will come eventually where, like, you can only take enough, can you? Well, if you go and watch the same movie. If you go to cinema every week and you go, oh, this is just shit film, isn't it?
Right, okay, so with that then, so what they're saying is if Alexander doesn't win 5-0 every single game, that's going to be, because what's happened has happened, it's his second game, so if people weren't happy with the way that Hughes coached the team, then you've actually got to give Alexander the time for him to put his stamp on the actual team. So I would for then fans to say sack the board. Well, give the manager a chance to actually manage the team. If in a year's time, 18 months' time, it's absolute garbage, yeah. But like on his second game, no, I would disagree with it. So personally,
not about Alexander though. Forget about Alexander. About the board, the association, the people who run the club.
But what's going to happen though? I mean, it's like. They've made a decision. They've appointed Alexander. So if he loses a game, what's going to chanting for sacking the board going to do? Because it's like all it's going to do is just, sort of send negative vibes, and are the players going to be able to basically separate that disquiet from the fans from at the board? Are they going to be able to separate it from themselves? So I don't think it does anyone any good personally to shout to be chanting that sort of thing, sack the board, when it's like, you've got to let Alexander, because at the end of the day, it's the board or Ryan Sparks and Rupp who have appointed Alexander. So it's like they've got to live or die by that decision, but you can't sort of start chanting it after 2 games.
See,
do we think it's because Rupp's not around, because he's not kind of showing his presence anywhere?
Possibly.
Do we think that's? I think that's why a lot of the fans are getting disgruntled with him.
But if you think of it, Kelly, though, if people are saying, sort of, I'm not saying people don't have a genuine grievance or anything, but if people are saying, "Oh, well, he's not putting any money in," and then once you actually hear the information, he can't physically put money in terms of like from the FFP rules. So if you're going to criticise him or whatever, whoever, I'm not aiming this at anyone. It's a general comment. Then you need to know facts. Otherwise, it's kind of like, then it just becomes, just a moan fest. And people have every right to do that. But do you know what I mean in that sense?
See, what you've got to remember is as well,
go on.
Alexander, you can't blame him, because all he's done is inherit a shit team. Because the recruitment, this is where it all stems from, the recruitment for the last 2 seasons has not been good enough. Yeah, I think we overachieved last season. I know we got to playoff semi-final and we balls that up. But the recruitment this season has been very poor. And unlucky for Hughes, I didn't like his style of football anyway. He went. Alexander's come in and he's got the same shit players what Hughes had, because the recruitment hasn't been good enough. And I think that's a lot to do with it.
Before Diane comes in, Tony, I'll kind of disagree, and then I've got to dip out because I've got something to do now. But I'll disagree on it being a shit squad, because I don't think there were any games where we were so poor that we scraped wins. I mean, we had like from January we had the best. We had the best unbeaten run. Run. We were like in the form table up until the last sort of couple of games, probably Swindon game, we were top of the form table. For me, Jamie Walker had a big play in that, because we were turning draws into wins. I mean, I would agree that we didn't score enough goals, but to say it was a shit team, I'll respectfully disagree. But
no, that's fine. But in my eyes, I just think the recruitment were poor.
No, I mean that's fine, but I wouldn't say that it was a shit team, because at the end of the day, we were only something like 5 goals difference between us and Carlisle. And
yeah, that's true.
So I think very similar points. So to be that toe to toe with a team that got promoted, I would like to say respectfully disagree on the assessment of the squad. But it's like, at the end of the day, if you don't achieve something, you've underachieved, I guess. But in that respect, that's all I would say on that. But
I get what you're saying, but I just think last season there were players went missing in certain games where we could have pushed on. I mean, I know there are a lot of referees' decisions went against us, and then after the game he said, "Oh yeah, he want a penalty or he want this and it want that." But I think this season, I think the recruitment this season, apart from maybe Patterson, he's a big miss. He really is a big miss. But I think the recruitment this season, I mean, these loan players that we brought in, the Afoka, did he come from Aston Villa?
Yeah.
Where's he? He's not been seen.
I think he was probably like a wild card, nothing to lose on the kid. But I think for me, like in terms of this year's recruitment, I would say the jury's out. that's as much as I would say. It's mixed. Some good signings, some poor signings for me. So I've no problem with people's assessment of that. But
that's from Norwich. He hadn't even he hadn't even started a league game, has he? He's come on as a sub.
Yeah, that's
He's
interesting. I think Diane's waiting to come in on a point.
Yeah.
So.
She's had her hand up. So we'll go to Diane and then we'll go to Charlie, then after Diane.
Yeah, what I was going to say is you're talking about the players that we've got. As I was speaking to my dad last week, I know we lost 2-1 to Barrow, but my dad made sense that Graham had only had them for a few days that week. I think this week we'll be playing better because obviously he's had a full week with the players instead of like a few days, so he can work out who he wants his options to be. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And he's actually seen them play as a team, hasn't he, now as well, which will help.
Yeah, you see, I speak to my dad and my dad gives me all this advice. Well, but yeah, it's like I say, he's had like the full week to see what they're like, where the best positions are for them to be playing. And I bet he sorts of positions down on the training pitch for him this week. And then tomorrow we'll see how they play and see if they play better than last week.
Charlie, have you got any thoughts, bud? And welcome, Charlie, as well.
Hiya, guys. I do think I thought the recruitment was brilliant last season. I will say that, but I don't think it's been the best this season.
Yeah.
I think what it was Hughes expected to be able to play a system that he couldn't do, and then so sort of once he realised that system didn't work, he realised he needed wingers, and I think that's where all the loan players have come from.
So do you think it's Mark Hughes' fault, or do you think it's Gent's fault?
I think it's kind of a collective when it comes to the recruitment. I do defend the board and stuff to an extent, but I also think that to me that's Hughes, that was Hughes' doing, because the signings aligned with the play style, and I think Hughes was maybe given a little bit too much freedom and sort of too much responsibility for the transfers. And if it was Gent, then again I'll put the blame on Gent. But for me, I think from what I believe, is that someone's given Hughes too much freedom and control over the transfers, and that's where that's gone wrong. Or it could be perhaps that he's gone last minute. Right, we need some wingers, and they were just the best we could get. That could be the case.
Do you think in January then, Charlie? Do you think some people will go then? Do you think they'll get kicked out at door in January?
Yeah, I mean, Alexander's all but come out and said, the squad's too big. So I don't think he has anyone in mind, but I think without a doubt he'll be looking to see who has to go and who can stay, just because the squad is too big, regardless of if you think they're good enough or not. If you think they're good enough, then it's just a lot of players being wasted. But I think the squad's too big and we need to look at shrinking it down and maybe getting some better people in.
Would you bring Jake Young back?
Of course I would, and Jake Young, I'm pretty sure he is coming back. What
about Ryan East?
Ryan East, see, I didn't really pay much attention to him, which sounds like a weird thing to say, but last season he didn't get much game time, and when he did, I didn't really pay attention to his game because he tended to come on later on when we would, maybe I'd be focusing on the other end of the pitch instead of the middle of the pitch. But it seems like he's doing really, really well at Rochdale. Harry McCurdy said at Swindon, when he found out, when he came back to Swindon and Ryan East wasn't there, I think he'd gone to Barrow by then, it sort of massively impacted the dressing room. Everyone he's played with sort of speaks very, very highly of him. Even more senior players speak highly of not just him, but his impact on the dressing room. So I think from what others have said, yeah, undoubtedly, but I can't really speak on my own opinion.
Well, last season, he played at Salford, and they were absolutely outstanding in middle at Park. And I think the reason why he played was because I think Smallwood's wife were having a baby.
Well, Salford at home?
No way.
Are you sure? I'm sure it were a home game that Smallwood missed.
No, it were the away game, and we won 1-0.
All right, fair enough then.
And the following week, he put Smallwood back in, and cast East aside.
Yeah.
And that really annoyed a lot of City fans because he were absolutely outstanding that day. And we all said, what's he got to do to get another 90
I think
minutes?
the problem is, though, at the same time, the captain has a very exclusive position, if you know what I mean. So if you want to play someone else in that position, you have to drop the captain, and that's something a lot of clubs and managers might not like the idea of doing. So I get what you mean. I'm not calling East rubbish. I'm just saying that the captaincy might have a massive contribution to whether he starts or not.
Fair comment.
Thank you. Johnny, you got out to add?
I think Johnny's gone for a wee. That's what he normally does.
May I please have my microphone on? Are you doing a space tomorrow,
No,
Charlie?
I'm off to Dublin tomorrow. I can't even go to the game.
Oh, you're Dublin. Happy days. So what time are we on? Anyone else got anything on that? Pies, arrows, or anything? Kelly, Stan, Tony, Diane.
Go on.
Can I just say quickly? I think from a manager point of view, when Kevin McDonald took over, we had a really good run, didn't we? We had four, maybe 5 games unbeaten.
Yeah.
And then Graham's. Do you think the players are now thinking, "Oh, now we've got Graham"? Do you think it's affected? I think it's affected them.
No.
Do you not? I think what's the Kevin.
Go on. What did you say? Sorry.
Kelly,
Yeah.
put you in that connection back in, love.
Do we think that it's affected them?
I think it has, but not in the way that it's negative. It's, they've had so many managers in such a short space of time. They've got, Kev McDonald had been about before. It's not like his first game was his first time with the lads and getting to know them and learning their strengths. Alexander's come with a new system. I think McDonald played the same system as Hughes, don't get me wrong, but in a different way, if that makes sense, in a more energetic style. Alexander seems to have his own system that he wants, his own way of football, and he's also getting to know everyone. You can't really expect, you can't really expect the lads to sort of click straight away, and I think that's all it is. And I know there's this thing about new manager bounce, but at the same time, can you get a new manager bounce for about, for what is it, their fourth manager this season, something like that? I think he's asking too much. I do think we were the better team last week. Pete Wild even said we were the better team, and that he would. After we scored, he sort of tried to play the rest of the game for the draw, and they just got lucky. Now, to me, that whole game screamed individual errors, and that's been a big problem this season. Is
correct
individual errors.
Yep.
You could have put the argument in. I did want Hughes gone by the end because it just didn't seem like anything would change. But if you pinpoint a lot of the things that have gone wrong this season, it's individual errors. First game at season, we concede to a set piece that Harry Lewis should be doing better with. We, what else? Colchester at home, was it, where Lewis sort of shit himself while trying to bait the press and then conceded. Tranmere, both goals, I think Harry Lewis should have done better, and that's not me piling on him, that's just my opinion. I think against Barrow last week, I think that in that game, that was the defence that were making the errors and the attack. The attack were the creative players were creating a shit ton of chances, especially towards the end of the game, and nobody were finishing. And then both goals, it was just sloppy from us to let that in. And I think for me, it's individual errors. Now, it is the manager's job to do that, but I also think that a big part of where we are this season isn't necessarily tactical errors, but also individual errors. You look at a lot of the goals we've conceded, it's individual. You look at MK Dons is a bit unfair because we had Walker and Smallwood out for suspension. I think Platt was. Sorry, I cut out there. I think Platt was injured. I don't know, but Ash Taylor started, which that is a tactical mistake if you have the choice because of the style of play that MK Dons have. They like playing passing football, and dribbling, and that's how their new manager plays. Now, that for me to say, I think undoubtedly this season's down to individuals more than tactics. I think a lot of and I know it's League Two, so there will be mistakes, but I also think compared to last season, we are making a lot more mistakes, and I don't really have a suggestion on how to improve that, but that is something that I believe. I think if Alexander can really get these lads well drilled and sort of focused, and so they know what they're supposed to be doing, then we should be good. I think we should be good to go. I really have faith in this squad. It's just something's going wrong, and it's been going wrong all season. And I don't know what that is. It went wrong at Carlisle. The tactical change to sub Platon, yes, that were bad. But at the same time, the lads didn't look the same at Carlisle, and it were a high pressure game, so you can sort of point that towards it. But I do think the lads. I have faith in them to be good. We've got Andy Cook. Andy Cook's good, but I think we're asking too much of him at the moment, and he needs a bit of a break. Smallwood, Walker. I think these are good players who just are making a couple of mistakes, especially like Lewis in the back line. And it's just these little mistakes, but they can be catastrophic in a game.
Charlie, if I can just jump in a second,
sorry, I went on there for a bit.
No, it's all right, because I'm sort of in the middle of doing something else. But I'm obviously compelled to listen. But it's kind of I agree. I had a look yesterday and look at the goals, and something like in 8 of the games, and I'm not picking Lewis out for any reason other than that he's made mistakes, and he's obviously set the bar high last season. But he was responsible for other teams' goals in something like 8 out of the 20 games or something that we played this season, and then there's some defensive ones that were poor as well. Now, what you do about that is take the lad out of the firing line. I mean, I know he's kind of like it might be a big risk, but we've done what we've done with regards to having Colin Doyle as a backup keeper, actually, as a player coach. Give him a few games and take Harry out of the firing line, let him kind of reset, because I suspect there's a lot, the mental, things like that, especially in goalkeeping, it's all kind of mental errors, concentration levels and things like that, which you can't seem to iron out unless you probably, any other position on the field, you'd probably take them out. We took Cook out for a few games last season, just to kind of, and I think, I don't know what I think. I was thinking about the other day, but I think, in terms of like, it wasn't just the fans, but I think the players had and the manager themselves had a massive hangover from Carlisle. I don't think they've emotionally recovered from it.
I agree. And this isn't me trying to sort of point fingers, but at the same time, I am what most would call a stereotypical happy clapper, but I do think we're getting... What on earth was that noise?
No idea.
Oh, I know what that was. There's loads of these. Yeah, look. What were I saying? Yeah, I do think we're at a point now where we need to let that go. If that is the case about the hangover, and I believe it was at the start of the season, but if that's the case now, I think we just need to get rid of it. And that's not... I know it's hard for me to say because I've not been a footballer who's lost in a playoff semi before, but at the same time, it now feels like enough time.
I agree. Yep.
Question for you.
Yes.
Do you think Lewis wanted the Barnsley move?
That, I would say probably, yeah. I would say that he was probably close to it.
The thing is, who wouldn't? You know what I mean?
And do you think that's having an effect with him?
Well, I think there's something not right with him, and it may be because none of it is none of the mistakes that Harry's been making have been technical or lack of ability, have there? It's all been about concentration, with your mindset. And sometimes once you kind of start making mistakes, it's very difficult to stop making mistakes. And I probably agree that would have probably played a part, because we've all been in a situation ourselves, haven't we, where something not quite right at work and you're struggling for motivation, and we kind of say, the players are so lucky, they've got the best job in the world, which they have. But they're just human beings, the young lads. They're likely to have bouts of either doubt or kind of, lacking motivation or just trying to, whatever it is. But, they're no different to us. They're just good at football. And so in that respect, I think that's a big shout, a good shout. And that's, I agree as well. It's kind of like, a reset is needed in terms of the team now. And it's nothing that's like in the front of people's minds, is it? But it's all kind of like in the back of people's minds, and somehow, I think it was throughout the whole club. I think there was such a devastation on that day of losing that semi-final.
So, Stan,
without a doubt,
you've opened a bit of can of worms here for Harry Lewis's number one fan. So, Diane, I see you've got your hand up.
Well, I'm Lewis's number one fan as well, but yeah, go on. Go ahead, Diane.
God almighty, I shouldn't have said that. What I was thinking is, don't forget how he did admit at the end of last season after the Carlisle match that he did ignore everybody. He did have problems with his mental health. He did go on the piss for a week. He even ignored his mum's phone call. She was getting worried for him. But I agree that we should let him rest for a few games. We'll probably rest him against Barnsley on Tuesday, like they have been playing Colin Doyle in goal in the trophy matches. So they might let him rest him for that.
How bizarre that they were going to arrest him for the club that he was going to go to, though. That's a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah, in the Street Motors trophy as it is now, Colin Doyle has started the matches for us, and Harry's been sub.
So
Tony,
Tony,
can I get your thoughts on something?
What?
Why don't we bring Rich back?
It's off. I'd have a stick pins in my eyes and what's that prick come back?
We're being relegation zone, we're being National League South.
Yeah, but
right.
He was never a goalkeeper.
He had the looks.
So, Tony, and then Charlie, because everyone else has done theirs, because we're going to start winding up now, because I want to watch a bit of England game. What's your score prediction for tomorrow?
I'll go, depending on team, but seriously, I think we'll get battered 3-0 because I think their forward line will run our defence ragged.
Charlie?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with 3-0. Unfortunately, we'll either batter them or they'll batter us, and I'm gonna go for them battering us because they're just, they're so good. They're like, even if we were as good as we were last season, they're just, it's mental how good Notts County are. I really wanted to go. I really wanted to go. I'm gonna be like, even I'm gonna have a good time not being there, but I've really I've not been to Notts County yet, and I've been buzzing to go all season, and then I've just thought, oh shit, I can't go anywhere.
You know what's gonna happen now, don't you, Charlie?
Yeah, I do know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be the best win ever. We'll win about 600-0 and go up from that game or something like that.
Yeah, I've got to watch it in my dad's. I'm using my dad's electricity to use it, so
it's that time again, guys and girls. Thank you for everybody for joining today. Stan, Callie, Tony, Diane, and Charlie, thank you for coming. This is live, just to inform you, England are winning 1-0. And if you're not watching the football, Trojan in Needs on BBC One. If you want to hear more episodes, we are on Bradford City Up the Chicken on every single podcast service going. You could even say, Alexa, play Bradford City Up the Chicken on your portable device, and hopefully everyone's devices will now start playing it. We're also on Bradford City Up the Chickens on Facebook. and also Bradford City Up the Chickens on YouTube / Braceodge on YouTube. Wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
At your job, do you ever have to deal with a nose roller? How about a snub pulley? Well, if you're installing a new conveyor belt system, dealing with the different components can sound like you're speaking a foreign language. Luckily, you've got a team ready to help. Grainger's technical product specialists are fluent in maintenance, repair, and operations. So whenever you want to talk shop, just reach out. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.